Hey folks, I'm Hudson, and this is Game of Thrones, a TellTale game series. First and foremost, this game takes place from Season 3, Episode 8 to Season 4, Episode 3. So if you haven't watched the show up to that point, and you have any interest in doing so, then I urge you not to watch this review or buy the game yet, as not only there will be massive spoilers for the TV show, but you'll also not understand what the hell is going on. Secondly, 4 out of 6 episodes have been released so far, and I've played all of them. There will be some spoilers, which is inevitable when it comes to episodic gaming, but I'll try to keep them to a minimum by mostly showing footage from the first two. With that out of the way, let's get started. TellTale's Game of Thrones is identical to pretty much every quote-unquote adventure game they've been releasing since Jurassic Park. In my opinion, these are pretty much interactive movies. These are story and dialogue-driven games. Player interaction is extremely limited and consists of selecting dialogue options, performing quick-time events, and occasionally solving a very basic puzzle. I've played every single one of their interactive movies since Jurassic Park came out, with the exception of Borderlands, because fuck Borderlands. They've all been fantastic games with great stories, with the exception of Jurassic Park, which in my opinion was just slightly above average. In relation to their previous games, I'd have to say that Game of Thrones is just a step above Jurassic Park. That's right, this is their weakest game in a long time. There are many reasons for this. For starters, the game is almost identical to this show's format, including locations and character motivations or objectives. That makes it seem like it's a half-assed clone. Do you remember that Lord of the Rings RPG game for the PlayStation 2? The one where you had a group of characters that were shitty knockoffs of the characters from the movies? The locations were exactly the same. The story was nothing more than trying to find Gandalf, however always being one step behind the Fellowship. That's kind of what this game is. Like the TV show, the game constantly switches back and forth between various characters. You play as members of House Forrester, a house that was loyal to House Stark and that suffers huge losses during the Red Wedding, as depicted in the beginning of the first episode. House Forrester is known for their ironwood, and are capable of making wooden armor as tough as iron. After their huge losses, they come under a semi-form of occupation by House Whitehill, who are loyal to the Boltons. Garrett was a squire for Lord Forrester. He was forced to flee to the Wall and join the Night's Watch for killing 2 Whitehill soldiers, who were responsible for murdering his family. His story is pretty much identical to Jon Snow's, as during your time on the Wall, you hone your combat skills and make friends and enemies with other new recruits. Roderick is the new Lord of House Forrester, after his father was killed during the Red Wedding. He is like a severely wounded version of Robb Stark. He's new to being a leader and does his best to maintain his leadership and his house's independence, while trying to muster up an army to take back his land and destroy the enemy. Lady Mira is a handmaiden to Lady Marjorie. She lives in King's Landing and is forced to deal with the harassment for being part of a house that supported the traitors. Well, quote-unquote traitors. At the same time, she tries to arrange financial deals for her house in order to get money to supply them with weapons and soldiers. Lastly, there is Asher. His story takes place in Essos and Marine, where he tries to get enough gold to hire a private army for his house. Any of this sound familiar? It's pretty much the same plot from the show, with the main characters being replaced. Characters from the show have some small appearances, but are nothing more than there to probably please the fans. Jon Snow's role is pretty pointless. Cersei is just there to treat you like she treated Sansa. And the appearance of the albino Targaryen girl makes no sense. Asher meets her in order to buy an army from her. Didn't she spend like 3 seasons getting raped and getting gold in order to get a private army? And what reason does she have to help you when she wants to invade and take over your fucking continent? Not exactly sure what the hell the writers were thinking here. And that is what makes this game so weak. There's pretty much no attempt at good writing. The Walking Dead games worked because they took place in new locations with new characters, unrelated to the comic books or the show, but maintaining the same spirit. Wolf Among Us worked because it was a prequel to the comic books. Hell, even Jurassic Park worked to a certain extent. While that game ran parallel to the events of the first movie, the cast of characters were on the opposite side of the island and you never interacted or came across the characters from the movie. Game of Thrones, on the other hand, is almost the same plot as the show, with new characters replacing the ones from the show, and the ones from the show having pointless cameo appearances. I don't even know why the writing here is so underwhelming compared to their previous games. Have TellTale gotten lazy, or is the source material just not that good? I might be crucified for saying this, but the Game of Thrones show isn't all that great. It's pretty much a shittier version of the Witcher games and books. The first season was phenomenal, but everything afterwards was mostly boring filler, with the exception of the last few episodes in each season. Hell, Season 2 was supposed to be about House Stark battling House Lannister, but instead of seeing battles, we saw Tywin Lannister sitting in a table with his generals drinking wine going, "Oh fuck, how did this inexperienced new lord kick our asses again?" for fucking 30 minutes an episode. There's so many inconsistencies, plot holes, and things that just don't make any sense, that make the show painful to watch at times. Why did the zombies let the fat boy live? Why does Kat release Jaime Lannister before even learning where her children are? Why do the Night's Watch recruit criminals, rapists, and murderers, and are then surprised when they mutiny against them? Why does the placement of wine cups change during camera cuts? And how come when a new person comes to sit at the table, half the time they drink from the previous person's wine cup, and the other half of the time they get themselves a new clean cup? I guess they must love that backwash and herpes. Let's not forget the atrocious acting, especially from Sansa, porn star who plays Shay, the Targaryen girl, all the children actors, and of course, who can fucking forget Baelish? This guy has the same stupid, smirking facial expressions in every fucking scene and in every fucking episode. I want to find out who the fuck this actor is and who the fuck casted him and break both their fucking jaws. Then there's the awful CGI of the direwolves, the dragons, the giants, and so on and so forth. Am I watching an HBO series or some shitty made-for-TV movie for the Sci-Fi Channel? I can go on, but that's enough for now. Maybe the books are better? Maybe the writers and directors who are making the show for HBO just sometimes suck? Either way, this source material of at times questionable quality certainly didn't help in influencing the writers at TellTale. Or maybe it's just TellTale being lazy. I think it's a mixture of a little bit of column A and a bit of column B. TellTale's writing has drastically gone downhill to the point where almost every decision you make in this game has a character going, "Are you sure you'd want to do that? You know there's going to be consequences?" Ask Tyrion to make a financial contract for your ironwood. "Oh yeah? You know there might be consequences for your house?" Stand up to the soldiers occupying your land. "Hope you realize there will be consequences." Hell, even if you're passive and submissive to them, someone will still say the same fucking line. Shut the fuck up. It happens every single time, and it is so annoying and immersion breaking. Let's not forget that TellTale's games do not actually have any consequences. These are linear stories. I hate the fact that each of their games tells you that the game is tailored to the choices you make. That is just a flat-out lie. Your games always play out in the same way, always have the same ending, and always have the same quote-unquote consequence, regardless of what decision you make. 90% of the dialogue responses to your choices are identical. TellTale writes the game in a way that the response of a character is almost always the same, no matter which dialogue option you pick. Seriously, you can play the game selecting only the silent option, and you will still end up with the same story and the same result. I didn't mind this so much in Walking Dead 1 and 2 and Wolf Among Us, as those were fantastically written games. But when you come across something of subpar quality, it makes all the flaws of TellTale's gameplay design methods stand out even more. Not only that, but they're still using the same engine and technology as they did in Walking Dead, which came out over 3 years ago. This game is disgustingly ugly, and features all the same issues as their previous games did, such as laughably bad animation quality, random frame rate drops for no reason, and occasional stuttering during camera transitions. Lastly, TellTale are always late with their episodes. They never release anything on time, and if you buy something from them at launch at full price, then you are a fucking moron, as the game will go on sale several times for at least 50% off by the time the third episode comes out. TellTale really needs to get their shit together. There are two changes they need to make. One, update your engine and change your design methodology. I'm sure I'm not the only one who is sick of the illusion of choice in all of their games. You can pretty much select random dialogue options in any of their games since Jurassic Park and always get the same result. This makes TellTale games nothing more than a movie, where you have to press a button every now and then for it to continue. If you can't bother making a story that branches out with multiple paths and endings, then stop marketing your game as such. Number 2, stop working on so many projects at the same time. TellTale have become a whore for other IPs. They end up working on so many games simultaneously that end up decreasing the overall quality of them and increases the delay in getting episodes out. Game of Thrones and Tales of Borderlands are about halfway done, and now they're about to start working on a Minecraft game. To conclude, Game of Thrones isn't terrible, but it is a little more than above average. If you're a Game of Thrones fan and you enjoy TellTale's previous games, you might have some fun with it. But do not pick it up until all the episodes are finished, or if the game is deeply discounted. Or just watch a Let's Play on YouTube. This way you can watch someone else press random buttons instead.
And what diagram are you here for? Fucking potatoes. Potatoes? You fuck potatoes.